So what is a consulting business model? I'm going to show you right now. A lot of folks who start a consulting business do so with the intention of being a one-person consultant. And that is absolutely fine to do that. But there are some challenges with that, and oftentimes it leads to a situation where you've ended up creating a job for yourself. You know, Michael Gerber, who wrote The E-Myth Revisited, said, you don't have a business if you are required to be present for the business to make money. So there might very well come a time when you want to be able to take a vacation, or there's some family emergency going on, or you just need a break in order to recharge, but you need the business to continue to make money. And in that case, that means you need bandwidth beyond yourself in order to work with clients so the business can keep making money. And so it's really helpful to understand a true consulting business model and how that's structured. Because in the beginning, it might be you covering all of the levels of being the consulting business yourself. If you can envision what this will look like down the road, you'll be empowered to start adding people slowly that can come into your team, help add added bandwidth, and demystify some of what it looks like to scale and grow a consulting company. So let me share with you here the basic consulting client engagement team structure that larger consulting firms tend to use. Now, we've simplified this down to fit on the screen because in some cases, if you're at a Deloitte or Accenture, you can add many, many, many more lines to this. But in its most basic sense, typically a consulting client engagement team structure looks like this. At the top is the managing partner, then there's a senior manager, there's a senior consultant, a junior consultant, and a specialist. This is the most basic form of a consulting engagement, and everybody has their role to play. The managing partner owns the client relationship. Senior level executive to a senior level executive, they are truly responsible for the client relationship and the lifetime value of that client overall. The senior manager is responsible for leading the project as well as client expansion, meaning turning this project into many more projects to come. So one of the things they're doing, aside from just managing this team and keeping the project on time and delivering all the things they're supposed to, is they're keeping an eye out and an ear out for other opportunities to sell even more services to the client. The senior consultant tends to be the person who's actually producing the work product. And many times the senior consultant is at a level of professionalism that they don't need someone else to tell them exactly what needs to be done. They're often producing work product from scratch, meaning they're not just filling in the blanks. They're not being given the exact steps to take. They have a lot of thinking to do here in order to create that work product. On the other hand, the junior consultant is really someone who is working off a list of tasks, typically coming from either the senior consultant or the senior manager. And then last but not least, you sometimes have specialists involved. These are people who aren't dedicated 100% to working on that client all day, every day, but they have some specialized knowledge. Maybe it's more on the technical side, or these days on the AI side, or copywriting, or something that's needed for the project, but they sort of parachute in and out when needed. Now you might be saying, Angelique, why, if I'm a one-person business, are you telling me all of this? I don't know that I'll ever have a team of 5 people. But here's the thing. Chances are good that right now, you yourself and I are covering all of these squares on this board all by yourself. And then you're wondering, why am I so tired and exhausted? Why do I feel overwhelmed by my clients? Why can't I seem to handle more than 3 or 4 clients at a time and still have time for social media, thought leadership, visibility, and the sales process, the business development process, going out and speaking at conferences and introducing myself to more decision makers? Why do I keep ending up in a feast or famine place? Well, chances are good, even though really what your role should be in your business is managing partner, you're also doing all of these other things as well. This gets really overwhelming really quickly. And typically what people find is they can grow their business to about $200,000, $250,000 a year, being just the one person and covering all of these things. But to go beyond about 250,000 USD a year, they have to start adding some more in. Now, if you start thinking though, like a larger consulting company, and you realize that each and every time that you have a client engagement, ultimately, this would be sort of the minimum viable team that would come together to work on a client, you can slowly start adding people in where you need. Sometimes it's starting right here, just bringing one specialist into a client engagement. Maybe it's somebody who is certified as an executive coach, or someone who is certified in DISC assessments or Colby assessments. That would be an example of a specialist who comes in. Or maybe a research specialist or a copywriting specialist. Typically, after folks start bringing in specialists, the next place they go is more to a senior manager level. Somebody who's going to be a project manager in their consulting team and split their time across all of the different clients that they're working with. And then they slowly fill in the senior consultant and the junior consultant level. But having this map as a future vision of how to staff each and every one of your client engagements starts to open up possibilities and see how you could very quickly have larger engagements, charge a lot more, and by the way, start to increase your profit margin. So all of these folks who are the profit center of your business are working with your clients, you're earning margin on the work that each and every one of these people do, even though you stay right here as the managing partner. So this is a good look into the potential future, and just understanding how this might be structured might spark some new ideas for you on where you might want to start building your bench right now. You know, when you're a consultant, a coach, or a service provider, there is so much that you need to stay on top of in your business. It is not enough to master one marketing strategy and say, I've got it, let's go. The fact is that you are always in a process of landing clients, expanding inside those accounts, and then scaling your professional services firm. And all of those three things are interrelated, and it's why we focus on all three inside our BoldHaus Collective, which is both a robust training program as well as an incredible premier global community of experts who are working with corporate clients. Two of my favorite parts of the BoldHaus Collective, one is our Land, Expand, Scale Vault, where we have over 160 on-demand lessons, frameworks, scripts, trainings to make sure that our clients have what they need at their fingertips in order to land clients, expand those accounts, and scale their business. My favorite part, though, of the BoldHaus Collective is what we call All Systems Go Week. And that's where you come in and work with me and the BoldHaus faculty for an entire week. We keep these capped at under 25 business owners because we are literally rolling up our sleeves, sitting next to our clients in order to help them grow their business. If you've never checked out the BoldHaus Collective before, now's a really great time to do that. Make sure you stop by BoldHaus.com. You can read all about the BoldHaus Collective. You can book a call with our team. Our team is amazing. They're super nice. It's a really friendly call. We'll answer any questions that you have about the BoldHaus Collective. So definitely stop by and do that. The other thing, though, I want you to do right now, and this is really important, is go join me over at the video, What are different consulting business models? It's important to know how you want to structure your business model from the get-go so you don't end up building the wrong ladder against the wrong wall. So head there now to What are different consulting business models. I dropped the link to that right below in the description. If you click on that now, I will see you there in 1 second.